Good morning, Facebook Live viewers, and welcome to our Ayurveda and Yoga Tips for Wellbeing. So we're into quite a number of weeks now, and this session is more about regularity. So it does follow on from the last two sessions, and just by chance, that's just how it's rolled, really. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about sabotage and how we sort of access that Manipura or lack of it, and there's three axes really for your heart space and your third eye center. And when they're weak, there's certain signs of a behavioral pattern, and that leads into having expressions of guilt. And these, when we talk about guilt, it's really not being responsible or not wanting to respond to ourselves or what we need to do because we just think other things need to take priority. And we finished off with, the way to combat this is regularity. So this is all based on Swami Shivananda's 18 ittis, and I talked about that last time. So 18 ittis start with the first one is serenity. And Swami Shivananda is very specific, and I struggled with this initially, but now I actually love it because, it's black or it's white. There's no grey matters in between. And he says that unless you have serenity within, either easefulness, you're able to just be with what it is, then regularity, which is the second one, regularity, you don't move into regularity, right? Because it's not going to help, because you're not at ease, so you're going to be more flustered, and then you're not regular. So you can see how this whole string comes in, and only when you do a number of other things, which ends with ITY, that you can actually really understand the power of humility, and what was the other one? Magnanimity, charity, all those things come at the very end. So if we just start at the very top first, okay, so serenity is hard anyway. So what I found is regularity helps me with serenity. So when I'm much more regular in my day-to-day activities, there's much more calmness within, and there's lots of science behind how the brain waves work, the beta waves and the alpha waves. So we'll be talking about that today. So when we talk about regularity, we are talking about day-to-day stuff that's going to happen anyway, and we have to be really, really regular with those activities. So first thing that you need to be regular with is your eating, right? Vata element, which is the air element, does not like sporadic eating. It wants simple food, and it's got to be done on a particular time basis. This is the Ayurveda clock that we talk about. Now, you're going to be eating regardless, so your regularity becomes important, so it feeds and fuels the body and the brain waves, okay? The second thing is sleep. This is something you're going to do anyway. So you've got to have a great night's sleep. It's not negotiable. There's got to be sleeping routines that you introduce, and, you just wake up fresh. And that's just regularity on that side of things. The other one would be water. A number of people that don't have enough water, and they say, oh, well, I have a bit of coffee and I have a bit of this, that. It's water. Body needs water. We're 70% water. We flow through water, and if we're kind of getting a bit scratchy, likelihood is there's not enough water. So regularity, sleep, water. The other one that's really important, I might just rub this out, is poo. Right, you've got to poo, and the regular clockwork. It's not like after something and you get triggered to go. If there's no regularity in the colon, which is where Vata lives under Ayurveda, that means your poo is not extracted. When poo is not extracted, you get full with toxins. So these things are just day-to-day stuff. What about self-care? Yeah? Your hair, your nails, your skin, look after them, right? We look after our houses, we look after the car, we get spring cleaning done. All those things is self-care on the outside, but we need to have self-care for ourselves. So this is regular, like daily. Wash your face, wash your skin, all those things. Relax, right? Meaning easeful. You've got to be able to go in and lean back into yourself and just regular. And what this does, when you start to become regular with this and focus in it, what it does, helps us come into what we call rhythm. Oops. Okay, it's a natural biorhythm of the body, right? Universe got a natural biorhythm. The sun doesn't one day decide I'm going to come up at 6, another day says 7, right? It's very regular, and even if there's changes, there's incremental changes. The only time it gets disturbed is because we humans do daylight savings. It's the only thing. And then cats and dogs and our children gets, and even ourselves, okay, we all get like this. So when you are regular with this day-to-day stuff that's going to you're doing anyway, and you're more focused, you come into rhythm, and this is regularity. So another synonymous, some names to regularity is balance, evenness, consistency, harmony, steadiness. Okay, so now the main thing is steadiness. So my focus here is if we can create regularity and you can come into steadiness, how wonderful would that be? And what steadiness does for us is it tunes us in to what I call the alpha waves of the mind. Let's use another color. I'm going to use blue. So what happens in day-to-day life is something triggers us. Okay, this is a trigger. And if we're not in rhythm, in ourselves, easeful, what generally happens is that you will not be kind of nicely working through that trigger and then look at the reward and think, oh yeah, I've achieved something. What happens in your mind is if you're not in rhythm and you get a trigger, you are like this. And then you do not really feel that you've achieved because there's so much effort involved inside. So this is your beta waves. Too much of this day to day, oh, I need to go gym and I do it after work and I'm not prepared. I forgot this and I forgot that. If it means this is going to happen and you're not prepared, you are in this constant mode. When you're in this, a lot of adrenals are dumped. You're always in fight and flight, always. If you're more regular and you're focused on making sure that happens, you probably have good routines in place, which is what regularity is about, and you get your rhythm, then you're more in your alpha waves in the mind. Alpha waves releases serotonin. Okay. And you can tell when people are in serotonin mode, like they just look amazing. They feel more approachable. You can go to this boss or you can go to this friend or a colleague and it's like, oh yeah, let's work this out, blah, blah, blah. But when you're in this mode, people are like this and you know they're closed up, okay? Because naturally adrenals, what it does with the mindset is it makes you get focused and you keep moving that way. You're not open. Yeah, even the pupils, they dilate here and they're more open, and the person's open. The shoulder and the body and the whole body structure is open to receiving, whereas this one, you're not. So depending on where you are, whether you're a manager, whether you're a colleague, whether you're a husband, wife, where do you want to be? And this costs us, okay? This will burn our cells, excess adrenals, go. People get older faster. The internal machine, okay, our cells and our tissues get used up much quicker, and we age quicker and we die earlier. This one here, we're much more relaxed, time for the body to replenish. You'll have a much greater quality of life. And you have this easefulness as you transition into older age. So the main thing for you to go away with today is that we're looking at this here. Really focus on regularity here. You must come into rhythm. When you're here, much more relaxed. When you're here, you're not going to be relaxed. You're going to be really aging yourself, too much stress. How does this correlate to these two here? When you're relaxed, when your triggers turn up, you're able to see it and you can maneuver through it for what it is, and you can create new habits. Otherwise here, you don't have time to look at this, and they just get suppressed and suppressed and suppressed, and they become big explosive things in your later years. I forgot 3 clients at the moment, in their 60s and 70s, and now that they're retired, all of this stuff is coming out. At the time when they could enjoy, they're not enjoying it because now there's nothing to do. They're no longer in this mode. They can't get here. And so all this stuff comes up. And our whole focus is to get them into here at 60, right? It's not the right time because you've got such deep-rooted habits to start to maneuver. So if you can start to put these little habits into your day-to-day life, the incremental habits in day-to-day life now, that you can then enjoy the way that you live your life, more of a relaxed way. So when you do come into your older age, these are just way of life. It's just imprinted in how you behave. So this has been the biggest transformation to me. This has been the biggest healing go-to for me, because I already had that one before I fell sick, and then I went back to this, and so I've come back because it's habitual. So now let's move on to the next part. How do you create regularity? There's a systematic way. Okay, the body is systematic. You eat too much, whether it's you, me, or anybody else, things will not work. If you eat too little, it won't work. Okay, there's a systematic way that you do things, and what we want to do is come into routines, right? So you have a trigger, you want to have a routine, and then you got your reward. And so this is called the trigger loop. And you've got to have enough love of yourself. Yeah? Self-care, self-love for your life. To say what's happening, what am I doing, and am I getting the reward of easefulness that I want? If the answer is no, then you want to look at this and change that to create the rhythm. And so it's the first time I'm mentioning this. Is a lucky people. Okay, there's a new program out there starting 9th of January. It's called Focus 2019. Okay, it takes a year at least to change all of our bad habits into good routines that brings us into sleep, to good rhythms here. And then you are served. Okay, so once this is looked after, it doesn't matter what gets thrown at you, your health is always looked after. And remember, when you have this, you're rooted in steadiness and you're rooted in solidity. Okay, so we can then translate all of this into the 5 elements as well, which I'll go through in just a moment. So Focus 2019 will start to look at what is it you do and how do we change these and give you systematic way. Okay, it's very systematic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Systematic way, and I should actually, the better way to put this is like a ladder. Okay, you're going to go up your ladder, and it's systematically working through this. And then when you know how this new routine is, it becomes a habit. I automatically will pick up the neti pot and do my nasal roots, no matter how late I am. It's just like, it's like a habit. Okay, so I do never walk away from it. Before I eat, I just pick up a cup of water and the jug's on. I just drink there and I drink the water. It's so instinctual, right? And we have all of these instinctual habits anyway, because you don't actually think about how to pick up a cup or how to write and hold a pen or how to use a knife and fork. You don't actually think about that. So 70% of what we do is habitual anyway. And we want to create Focus 2019. It's a journey of a year. It's going to help you make all of this stuff habitual. So you're not having to self-care. You're not having to focus on the poo. You're not having to think about what you're eating. You're not having to think about, oh, we can put exercise in here. Wow. Big one for us in the West, exercise, yeah? Yeah. We're not having to think about it. It's just in us. We just know Tuesday night we go to gym, and Wednesday night we might go yoga, or we might go for a run, or whatever your sporting activity, paddleboarding, for example, on Saturday morning. Okay, so whatever it is, it becomes so habitual, so routine, that your basic day-to-day stuff is taken care of. Your basic day-to-day stuff is taken care of. That's what Focus 2019 is about. So anyone who's interested in that journey, remember it takes a year. It's based on Ayurveda and yoga. Get in touch. Enrollment starts from today through to 30th of November, and I'm only taking 10 people through this. So now there's 9 available, because I've already just spoken to one person this morning. So Focus 2019, let's move away from self-sabotage. Let's understand the guilt, if there are any. Let's use regularity and habits to maneuver and then live in the world of serotonin. So how wonderful would that be this time next year? If you need to keep in touch, get in touch, do so. Hopefully this helps you a little bit about building the picture of your life. And I'll see you next week. Any questions about any aspects of health, well-being and mindset, fire them through, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week.